Tangent, cotangent both have the A, B, C, and D, just like we did with sines and cosines. A describes the steepness. I've always kind of wondered, is this really a word? I will never take an overlay of your tangent or cotangent to see if you made your S-shaped curve steep enough or not. I mean, if somebody offers you $1 million to be super exact, then yeah, then we would worry about it. But we really don't worry about steepness of the tangent or cotangent. And you'll see when we graph it in a little bit. But anyway, there's no more, what that's telling us is there's no more amplitude, okay? We don't call it amplitude anymore for tangents and cotangents. Notice the period of the function. It doesn't take us as long to repeat. So we talked about that. When you looked at the table of values, we saw the number start to repeat in half as much time. So that's why it's pi divided by b today. So when you do the period of the function, it'll be pi divided by b. And every three critical points will make up the tangent or cotangent graph. So how many spaces do we have between the three critical points? 2. So you only need to take the period and divide it up into 2 equal parts. So those are the numbers that start to play around in your head that confuse you guys by the time you take the test. So get those straight. D still represents a vertical shift. And basically what we would do is take the middle of the S, and move the middle of the S up or move it down. And then the phase shift is still the same thing. Take the stuff in parentheses off to the side, set it equal to 0. And then get that first critical point shifted one way or the other. Let's just start here. Tangent of 1/2 x. So if my b value is 1/2, the period of the function is pi divided by 1/2. What happens when you take pi and you divide by 1/2? You get 2 pi. Which means my critical points then will be every 2 pi divided by 2. So I'm going to space my critical values every pi. I did not change the steepness of the curve. I am not changing my vertical at all, and we're not doing any phase shifts. So the first critical value will be a 0. The next one is pi. The next one is 2 pi. The next one is 3 pi. And the last one is 4 pi. Now yesterday I said take your last critical value and subtract the first one. When we do that, I go 4 pi minus 0, and I get 4 pi. But the period is only 2 pi. So you understand we're doing twice as much work as we really need to probably. Okay, so when you graph a tangent, what is the first critical value? Is it a 0 or an undefined? For tangent, it is a 0. Then the next one is undefined, 0, undefined, 0. So all you have to do is identify that first one and then put a dot or a dotted line every other one. Does tangent go up and to the left, down to the right, or up and to the right, down to the left? Tangents will go up and to the right. So if they go up and to the right, it's going down and to the left. And so what you see are these S-shaped curves, and they just keep going out to the right forever, out to the left forever. Good. The cotangent graph. Now my b value has switched. So the period is pi divided by b, which is pi, which is 1 then. And then the critical points are spaced every 1, which is the period, divided by 2. So every 1/2. So when the b value is pi, the period will turn out to be 1, and then we're counting by halves. So my first critical value will be at 0. The next one will be at 1/2. And the next one is at 1. Now that really is one cycle of it, but we go out to 5, so we do the 3/2 out to 2. What does cotangent start with? At 0, cotangent starts with a 0 or an undefined? Undefined. What else is in an equation or in the function? What? There's some steepness happening, right? Well, here's what doesn't make a lot of sense about worrying too much about the steepness of the curve. Is that whether I put a 1 here and then a 2 here, or you guys do a 1 here and a 2 up there, I mean, it depends on where you mark it, right? Yeah. So a lot of times if I recognize the steepness of the curve, I might do something like this. So that whole steepness thing, what's going to happen? The only thing that changes is halfway between your critical value and the undefined or the asymptote there, you put a dot up at 2. So depending on, because we don't hand you guys graph paper, the shape of all of your S's will be slightly different. So really, I'm just concerned about, are you going up and to the left, down and to the right, up and to the left, down and to the right. Yeah, you know that you're talking about this dot. Yeah, it's in between your first 2 critical points. So it's up here. So like when you're doing cotangent, that's why you have to go up to the left to hit that dot. You do not have to put the dot. And one of the reasons why I say it, look at the steepness of my 2 S-shaped curves. You can make an argument that the second one isn't quite as steep, right? I mean, so I don't worry too much about it. It's the up and to the left. This one's the same, so we're not doing that one. I'm too lazy to change it, and so we're moving on to part D. Okay, what's my B value? What? 1. Here's B. So if my B value is 1, the period of the function will be pi divided by 1 or pi, and the critical points will be spaced every pi over 2. So every pi over 2. What else is happening? We have some steepness happening again. But then we also have the phase shift. So we're moving to the left, pi over 2. So I'm going to mark that with a different color. It's at negative pi over 2. That is, it should be at 0. My very first critical point that I write down should be at 0. But we're shifting it to the left, pi over 2. Now I'm going to switch colors to show you that we're going to now space them every pi over 2. So what's negative pi over 2 plus pi over 2?
0.
So this time, we are going to land right on the y-axis. We are going to land right on the y-axis. Now add another pi over 2. Add another pi over 2. Add another pi over 2. So the one blue one is your first critical point, and then we did 4 more. What do you do with cotangent? The first critical point, what should it be? Okay. I get a lot of students on this graph to put their undefined dotted line right on the 0 because they remember at 0 it's undefined. Well, everything got shifted to the left, right? So it is really over here that it's undefined. Then it's the 0, then it's undefined again, then it's 0, and then it's undefined. So now I get students to tell me this is a tangent function because they look and they see the 0 at 0, right? That's what they say. I mean, but it's not. It's still a cotangent function with a phase shift. What does cotangent do? Up and to the left or up and to the right? So the tangent will go up and to the left, down and to the right, up and to the left, down and to the right. If you want to get crazy and put the steepness dot in there, go ahead.